did this post yet, but she made a post that was talking about cleanliness and saying that it was cultural, and basically saying that because Black people used to be enslaved and they were dirty, that they have embedded it in their culture that they need to be more clean. It was fucking weird. I don't know. Here's what I have to say about it. She needs to go do some research on the African Moors. African Moors went into Europe and literally told the Europeans, like, you need to bathe. There are germs. This is why you're dying. This is why you're having diseases spread like crazy. Get the animals out of your house. Like, they went and taught Europeans how to not be disgusting. Like, what are we talking about? One more thing. I really hate when people talk about Black history as if it started with slavery. Like, Africa was and is a wealthy continent and had kingdoms, and Mansa Musa was the wealthiest man in the world. They had the first major library. They had amazing architecture. They had the Dahomes, which is like the female warriors. Like, there's so much more history there that people ignore and just think everything started at slavery, and that shit drives me crazy.
Most of the stuff y'all consume is Black American culture. Most of the stuff y'all see, hear, listen to, wanna wear is Black American culture. Yet y'all give white people your flowers for what? What y'all giving white people your flowers for? Like, I really don't understand it. Next time y'all say, I love the 90s style, I love the Y2K style, I love baggy clothes, Black American style. That's Black American culture. Next time y'all say, I love rock music, and y'all think of Elvis Presley. Rock music didn't start with Elvis Presley. Rock music started with Black Americans. Country music started with Black Americans. House music started with Black Americans. Techno is Black music. Hip-hop is Black music. R&B is Black music. Blues, jazz, gospel is Black music. Everything that y'all consume, most of the stuff, is Black music. People dress like Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish is dressed like TLC, The Brat, and MC Light. But y'all don't know who that is, so the conversation doesn't even make sense. You know, like, I'm so sick and tired of people thinking Black Americans don't have culture when they are the culture. Y'all love the gift and not the giver. Y'all love everything that Black people produce, but y'all don't like Black people. Y'all love everything that Black people give you, but you don't respect Black people. Y'all love everything that Black people, it only exists because of Black people. You only exist because of Black people.
And I grew up in a world where overt expressions of that were not acceptable. You weren't allowed to generalize on the basis of race because the assumption was each person is an individual. I don't understand when it became okay to generalize about racial groups.
I think while some people have the luxury to be raised only being told to look at individual people, it should be no surprise to you that Black people, in particular Black men, have been taught forever that they have to be careful how they behave around white people, that the way they behave will be interpreted differently, that when they misbehave it'll be punished differently, that if they laugh too loud, if they walk into a nice store. So with all due respect, Tucker, what was true for you has never been true for lots of people.
I mean, there are a lot of ways to respond to that. One, on a factual basis. In truth, in a lot of places in this country, the main threat that African Americans face is not from white people, as you perfectly well know.
So I first want to respond to the first comment. I think is, while it's true that, of course, people of color face threats from other people of color, it's also true that white people face the overwhelming threat from white people. That is,
right.
People face threats from who they live beside. So I find
exactly.
But I think it's fair to point out that we oughtn't be distasteful and say things like, well, the great threat. It does feed a certain uglier narrative that we don't want. But
why does the truth ever feed a, quote, ugly narrative?
It is deeply suspicious that people are so quick to say things like the main threat facing African Americans is other African Americans, but you never hear anybody say the main threat facing white people is white people.
So you say, for example, I will have to discuss with my boys whether they can truly be friends with white people. History has provided little reason for people of color to trust white people.
And the argument I make is, look, in a country where it turns out that when the most vulnerable people of color are under threat, those who they count on are nowhere to be seen. If we have a president who marshals forces of hatred and anger and divisiveness and, frankly, just danger, if the people who call themselves your friends are not going to push back against that, then maybe you can tell me why it is I should trust those people.
Well,
when those who count themselves as your friend see that others put you in danger,
right.
It is their opportunity to prove they're your friend. It's fine to be friendly with them, but these are not your friends. We live in a country where we oughtn't pretend that these divides have not consistently been on racial grounds. And we see that over and over and over.
That's true. I agree.
When black people are in danger from, say, addiction, we get policing. When white people are in danger from addiction, they get rehabilitation. When black people don't have jobs, We get stories about why we're making the wrong choices. When white people don't have jobs, we get a presidential campaign about the forgotten class.
My fellow white people and I love and admire a lot of stuff that Black and Indigenous people bring to the table. Some of it's great, some of it's really not. When I was a kid, the big in thing to do was lay out in the sun to get as tan as possible. Well, I didn't tan, except in tiny melanin freckles, but these days, when I see the dermatologist, it's because something might be turning into cancer. My husband had significant facial work because of youthful tanning. And we also love jazz and hip hop and Black fashion sense. We do it with Native American culture and Asian cultures and others too. We admire what people of color produce with their creativity. So why do we continue to make life harder for them? It's because cultural admiration and systemic equity are not the same thing. White people have enjoyed the products of Black creativity for a whole lot of years while distracting ourselves from Black struggles. It's called cultural appropriation, taking the art, the rhythm, the language, or the style of a marginalized group while maintaining or benefiting from the structures that keep that group marginalized. For centuries, our laws and institutions have rewarded white people for keeping racial lines intact in terms of laws and real estate and a lot of things like that. While pop culture rewards us for borrowing whatever's trendy from Black communities. Or for me, it was Asian and Native communities, meditation, fashion, ways of thinking. Think of Elvis, entire genres of music that were built on Black genius, but profited white folks. That pattern runs deep still today. People feel safe copying culture because it's fun and it's profitable and it's supposed to be complementary. But challenging power to protect those creative people is threatening. The short version is that copying doesn't interfere with our privilege, but equality could. Admiring can work for everyone, as long as we're not also stealing or taking credit for.
Isn't it weird that white people love dehumanizing the Black culture? They love dehumanizing Black people. They treat Black people as less of. They treat Black people as not human beings. They feel that Black people are some disposable people, like you do not deserve to have certain things. That's why when Black people ask for more, they ask for better treatment. They ask to be treated actually equally. They don't want to be treated way more than what you get. They want to be treated equally. The way you are treated, that's exactly what they want. But that is also too hard for white people. Yet, every white person has at some point taken something from the Black culture. They have stolen something from the Black culture. They have used it for their own benefits, yet they have never talked about how they absolutely adore the Black culture. So isn't it weird that you dehumanize a certain people, but you absolutely love and you accommodate their culture? You want to steal their culture from them. You want to dance the way they dance. You want to rap the way they rap. You want to sing. You want to trend. You want to create the way they do. You want to take so much, but you don't want to give these people a good treatment, like treat them as you're treated. Not even as kings and queens, but literally as human beings. Why is that? Why are you dehumanizing the people that you've taken the most from? You, yourselves, do not add as much. I said what I said. You don't add as much, but you feel entitled to each and every other person's culture, each and every other person's thing that they do. You're entitled to everything. Then after you've taken something and you get negative comments about it, you become upset. You're like, why do they have to have a thing when we do not have a thing? Why do they get to have this when we don't get to have this? Who is stopping you from creating something? Who is stopping you from doing something for your own community without having to involve Black people?
I got in trouble for this, but when I was in high school, I wrote a paper about how white people can pick up Black culture when they see fit, usually when they're younger, and then when they get older, it's outdated, it's like too much, and they let it go and they go back to their white lives. And so this trend of there was once a time is making me think about that, because a lot of these people, not all of them, some of them I'm sure they still have black friends, but a lot of them are like, you know, my life is so different now, I would never do that. They're not saying it explicitly, but you know, it's there saying that I had my time and now I'm ready to be a mom, I'm ready to make sourdough and just live a different life, as if it's something you can just put down. People can't stop being black, but you know, when you're done with black culture, you can do whatever you want.
This might ruffle a few feathers, but truly I don't really care. When it comes to social media and virality, one of the easiest ways to get famous is to be a white man participating in black culture. Now, I'm not going to be broad and just say white people in general, because I think it like specifically exists in a space where it's just for white men. Like, we've seen this multiple times. Jack Harlow, there's a white guy that knows how to do like urban dances, trending dances that usually were populated by black people or in black culture, whatever. And we as a black community, we go feral. Like, we blow them up, make them so famous. It's like, oh my gosh, slow down, white chocolate, da 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 da. Forget that they exist in the same spaces as we do. They're on the same apps. We're in the same country for the most part. It's like, why do we place so much more of an emphasis on them participating in our culture than even our own people doing the same exact thing? And even better, like, I've especially noticed it when it comes to dance, especially Afro dance. Like, some guy knows how to do a little leg work and it's, oh my God! Like, do we inherently devalue black culture, so then when we see someone outside of the culture participate in it, it's like, whoa.
Whenever you ask a white person why they talk like that and be like, oh, well, I was raised around black people, so like that's why I talk like that, my first thought be, well, bitch, I was raised by black people and I don't talk like that. And then y'all all have the same black voice. So was y'all all raised by the same person? I'm confused. Black people talk in many different dialects, so it's like, explain. A black person from Chicago don't talk like a black person from Mississippi, that don't talk like a black person from Minnesota, that don't talk like a black person from New York, but y'all all have the same black voice. Are you picking up what the fuck I'm putting down?
European Americans like to be in black spaces for two reasons. One, I actually learned from a European American myself. Shout out to Mike. One, we have never really assimilated to white America. We have always pushed away from white America. We have been comfortable in our skin amongst our people doing our own thing, and that has always bothered them because they have always had a God complex. We are the superior race, so why don't these black people want to be more like us? If there wasn't such an issue with civil rights and equality, most black people would not conversate with European Americans. We are hostages in our own country. European American culture has always been miserable. This is why even though they can be at the top of the food chain, they are still miserable. And this is why they admire our culture so much and imitate everything that we do, even though we're somehow 15% of the population. European Americans also enjoy black spaces because they never have to conform to blackness. They don't have to prove how black they are and what black things they like to do. They can simply be themselves and we will accept them as they are. That doesn't happen the opposite way around. Number two, European Americans don't even feel comfortable in their own spaces amongst European Americans because they see the same behavior. Untrustworthy, very undermining, very sneaky, very backstabbing. And this is what I learned from somebody I know. He said, I don't even trust them myself, and I'm a white man. That had me cock my head like, oof, well, at least I'm not crazy.
For anyone who doesn't know, what those white men were mocking is called a stroll, which is a group performance routine created by members of the Divine Nine to represent their respective organization. They were also mocking signs and calls which serve a similar purpose. The Divine Nine is made up of 9 historically black Greek letter organizations under the umbrella of the National Pan-Hellenic Council. Each org has a rich history, and collectively, they've been a staple of black American culture for over the past century since the Jim Crow era. There is a rigorous process to get into these organizations, and everyone knows to respect and revere their traditions. Even as a black person, you would never perform or mimic the stroll of a D9 org that you aren't in. And if an org started strolling at an event or a party, you immediately clear the way for them, no questions asked. And a real Zeta Phi Beta stroll looks like this. As you can see, these strolls and signs were full of flavor, rhythm, and coordination, something that Omega Zeta Pi will never have. And it makes sense because they do say the people who make fun of others are the ones who are most insecure themselves.
There's a white lady who is so vexed by the idea that white people do not even know basic history, because to some extent it's really stupid and really funny. It's actually arrogant for you as a white person to not even learn enough about history, a history that you're involved in. Even though you specifically aren't involved in, you came from that history. So why are you not learning about history? You talk about black people and their history as if it started from slavery. Talk about the rights that black people have, but you say it from a perspective of we gave them those rights. They actually did not deserve to have rights, but because we decided to do it, we gave it to them. Talk about how black people were actually forced to learn how to bathe, how to be clean because of years of slavery, because they were pushed into, torment where they weren't clean. They did not used to clean themselves and stuff like that. You're seeing that you're making things up, and it doesn't even actually make sense, because as a white person, if you're dirty, you will clean yourself. Although not the same as black people, but you'll clean yourself. Why does it have to be put that people showered or people have learned how to shower because of slavery? You think that before slavery, black people used to walk around in Africa or from whichever country they were in, just walking around, not showering, just stinking, smelling, and not caring how they smelled. Isn't that weird? And you wanting, as white people, especially the white people who have to have a racist face, something that I've actually seen as that is so often is that every single white kid has to have a racist face where they are completely mean or rude or racist towards black people. They become very inappropriate. They, do things that are not supposed to be done by a white person, and they feel that it's a joke. They have to have said something rude to a black person, and then they move on from it. And once they're found out, because we have so many celebrities who have done the very same thing, and they have been exposed so many times by so many people having done, being racist, having had been racist. And every single time they're exposed and this videos or this proof is shown, people just move on from it, and these people continue to have normal lives. They never get cancelled, they never get anything done to them. But let me tell you, let someone who is a celebrity say something mean about the Jews, then we're not going to talk then. That is it. You are cancelled, to be forgotten, never to be seen again. That is the end. That means in itself that you people do not see black people as equals. You do not see black people as anything other than black. Like, they are not humans in your eyes, because you cannot consistently steal things from people, love everything they do, love everything that they have, love their community, love how they practice certain things, love how they speak, how they walk, how they talk, how they groom themselves, how they do everything that they do, yet you don't like them as a people. It doesn't make sense. Like, how can you love everything about a person but you don't love that person? You are who you are. You came from a black person. You in yourself, you have black genes. Inside you, you have black genes. We have seen a white lady and a white man giving birth to a black baby, and yes, that baby is theirs. DNA tests show it's theirs. That is because you came from blackness. You came from a black person. Each and every person in this world exists out of the black people, out of a black person. You hating the thing that you are is crazy. That is like hating yourself. And speaking on black culture as if it had to be built because of the societal norms that they had, or how you had treated them, so they had to create something out of, the pain and the anguish that your people put on them, is crazy talk. That means you're too arrogant to sit down and actually learn about history, not only black history, but your history as well. Because at the end of the day, if you're learning white history, you have to speak about black people. And yes, sometimes when you're looking at only white history, there are so many things that you're going to not understand, because most white people are not too proud of their history. They love, changing it and fixing it here and there so that they're not seen as that bad, even though they were absolute nightmares of people. But you'll still have to learn about black people. There has to be a point that you have to learn about black people. You speaking on black people history and culture as if it is like a traumatic, response to what you made them go through is crazy. That is crazy. How about white people generally just love black people and accept that they do actually love black people? It's not going to take anything from you. At the end of the day, you cannot steal someone's light. You cannot steal someone's culture. Yes, you have tried time and time again to steal the culture, but you cannot do it the same as those actual people who you're stealing from. You cannot do it the same way, you know? So why not allow people to live as they are? Black people allow white people into their spaces. They allow them to come into their spaces. They share their culture. They share their food. They share everything that they can share with them. Yet, when a black person goes into a white function, a white community, a white ceremony, it's always so weird. There's this bad looks. If a white person is in the midst of a black congregation or anything, there's not going to be that kind of awkwardness. If it's a cookout, if it's something fun, it's not going to be anything awkward. You're going to be treated as a human being, like you are here. Yeah, no one is going to talk about how you're white in the midst of black people. But the vice versa of it is a black man in between white people is crazy. Race has to come out. Race has to be spoken about at a certain point. Someone has to talk about their race. How about you change the narrative? We are growing up. We are seeing so many things changing. We are learning so many things. If something is not yours and someone is sharing something with you, you don't have to take it and then insult that person. You might as well take it and be gracious about it, because there is no bad blood in sharing something that you have been given. There's no bad blood in being given something and actually sharing it to other different people, and especially if you're doing it with respect. You're not going to be crucified for doing such a thing. But when it gets to a point where you steal or you take, then you go and then demonize where you got that thing from, but still continue to do it so that it can give you fame or can make you trend. That's the crazy part, because white people take pride in colonizing. They take pride in their history because their history is mainly about taking, snatching, grabbing, violence. Instead, black people's history, whilst black people, it's about sharing, giving, allowing people into their services. Like, there's no bad energy in any point. You never heard that black people are literally taking themselves and going to hurt this a certain community because they don't look like them, because their race is different, because their religion is different. It's very, it's not as often as it is with white people doing the same. White people take pride in colonization. Black people take pride in their heritage, in who they are, in their culture. Why not take that as pride? Why not be embarrassed by your own history and leave black people out of it? If you do not want to acknowledge that black people have something you can want, or you actually want, then leave them alone then. Easy as that. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this video. Kindly make sure you comment your thoughts about this. I'd love to see you again, so do make sure you come back, subscribe, like and share as we continue to grow and to learn together. I hope to see you next time. Goodbye for now.